Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to this Bhagavad Gita as it is overview of chapter 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatho jayamudiraye nashthaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Paramanandamadhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are starting off with this 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to have an overview. This chapter is called the most confidential knowledge, Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yogam. So this is chapter 9, and chapter 9 has many specialities, so to say. In chapter 8, Krishna explains that an Ananya devotee, he will surpass the path of light and darkness. And also in chapter 8, we concluded that bhakti is the best form of yoga. Now, in chapter 9, Krishna speaks about how to become that Ananya devotee, and also Chapter 9 is giving us that knowledge required for performing that most confidential yoga. So you will find that chapter 9 has a lot of things that are there in chapter 7 and chapter 8, but it also clears up some very important point for the bhakta to know. Chapter 9 has 34 shlokas, and it is broken down like this. From shloka 1 to shloka 3, it's about hearing. Who is qualified to hear, who is not qualified to hear. And then from shloka 4 to shloka 10, it talks about Aishwarya Gyan, Krishna's relationship to the material world. And then from the 11th shloka till the 25th, speaks about how foolish people neglect bhakti and divine people, they take bhakti seriously. And then in the last section of the chapter, from 26 to 34, Krishna speaks about how glorious it is to perform devotional service to Krishna. And Acharyas say that these things that are discussed in chapter 9 are dealing with pure and unalloyed bhakti. That is why it is called Raja Vidya Raja Guhya, meaning king of knowledge and most confidential. Guhyam means rahasyam. Rahasyam, Guhyam, all these things, they mean very confidential. That means not everybody will know. That is the whole idea of saying something is confidential. So, in 9th chapter, Krishna again starts without any prompting from Arjuna. He is going to tell Arjuna how to become the Ananya Bhakta. So, that is starting with hearing. So, in the very beginning of the chapter, Krishna will tell Arjuna that because I am giving you this most confidential knowledge and realization, because you are never envious of me. Pravakshyami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshaye ashubhat. Krishna tells Arjuna, that is, by getting this most confidential knowledge, rahasyam hetatuttamam, most confidential knowledge, what happens is that you will be relieved of the miseries of material existence. And why are you being told this, Arjuna? Because you are never envious of me. So, the very beginning, Krishna is clearing up three things. That one becomes spiritually advanced by hearing about Krishna. Second, in order to hear properly, you should give up envy. That is, you should be a person who is not envious of Krishna. And third thing is that simply by hearing this properly, one is able to become free from this material miseries. And with that, we are able to cultivate various devotional practices. And then Krishna goes on to explain how this is done. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. This knowledge is the king of education and the most secret of all secrets. And it is Pavitram, purest. Uttamam, perfect. Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. It gives direct perception of the self by realization, and it is a perfection of dharma, dharmyam, and it is avyayam, everlasting, and susukham kartum, very joyfully, happily performed. So, this word susukham is very, very important for us, that this is something that can be done and it will bring us happiness. You see? So actually what is that? It is actually bhakti or devotional service. When it is performed, it is giving joy and it is joyfully performed. Why? Because bhakti is nothing but utilizing all our senses to serve Krishna. So it is easy and it is joyful. And you will also, in the course of this chapter, we will come to know how simple it is. What to offer Krishna, Krishna says himself. So from that we will be able to understand how simply it can be done also. And we must understand that pure bhakti is actually beyond these modes of material nature. And it is even beyond liberation. And therefore it is avyayam. So avyayam means that a devotee's advancement will always remain. It is never destroyed. And pavitram. Pavitram means this knowledge will purify all the stages of our papa pratikarana. Means sinful reactions. There are different stages of sinful reactions. That is, when you commit a sin, the reactions come in different stages. You know, one is called prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is something, you have done something and the result has borne fruit, and that fruit is giving us distress and pain. That is prarabdha. And then next thing is called phalonmukha. Phalonmukha karma means just waiting to take effect. Means already seed is sown, just about to sprout and give the reaction. And then little bit behind that is kuta. Kuta means it is in dormant stage. And then another stage is called bija. That is in seed-like stage. So all these things that are in our bag of karma is as it becomes, you know, when its time comes to sprout, it will sprout and it will grow and it will give you fruit and it will give you accordingly enjoyment or misery. But this Pavitram says that this is something when you do for Krishna, this all four stages, right from Bija stage, Bija, Kuta, Phalonmukha and Prarabdha, everything will be taken care of. And this Krishna will speak in the 18th chapter. Okay, and then Krishna goes on to say that those who are not faithful in this devotional service, they cannot attain me. And therefore, what will happen? You will come back. Janana Marana Chakra will continue. So, basically, if you are faithless, you will never get Krishna. Even though you listen to Krishna, but if you don't have faith in Krishna, then you will not accept that bhakti is supreme. And that will again cause us to be born time and again in this material world. And then from the 4th verse on to the 10th, Krishna will be describing his relationship with the material world. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. Krishna says, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. Maya tadam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. That is avyakta, I am avyakta murti, my unmanifested form. Matstani sarva bhutani na chaham teshvavastita. All beings are in me, I am not in them. This is achintya. That is, Krishna says, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. You see? So, although Krishna's form is ever present, we are not able to see it with our senses. That is why Avyakta Murtina. And this is explained in Padma Purana. And also it is quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's main follower Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where it says, Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyehi sevon mukhehi jihvadau swayameva spuratyada. That is, Lord Sri Krishna's Atha Sri Krishna Nama Adi. That is Lord Sri Krishna's name. And when it says Adi, it also represents name, form, his leelas, his gunas, nama, rupa, guna, leeladi, varnana, it is called. So, nama, rupa, guna and leela of Sri Krishna, na bhaved, does not happen. Grahyam, understanding, indriyai. With your indriyas, with our senses, we cannot understand either Lord Krishna's name or his form or his guna or his great qualities or his leelas. Difficult. But how will it happen? Seva unmukhehi. When you are unmukha, when you are eager to do seva, service, jihvadau, starting with the tongue. What is the service that starts with the tongue? To sing the glories of Krishna, to sing the holy name of Krishna. So, Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyehi seva unmukhehi jihvadau swayameva spuratyada. It will swayam spurti, means it will spurt on its own. You see? And how? What is the cause of that? The cause is that sevon mukhehi jihvadau. So once we start seva to Krishna using jihva, automatically this avyaktam will become vyaktam. That is the whole, this is the crux of the knowledge. And yet, everything that is created, Krishna says, does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. You see? So this Yogam Aishwaram, very, very difficult. Inconceivable potency that everything rests in Krishna, but it does not present even the smallest of burdens to him. He maintains everything while remaining completely separate and detached. And to understand that, Krishna will give one example. Krishna himself giving an example that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. You see that the wind is mighty, it blows everywhere, but its resting place is the sky. Like that, all created beings rest in Krishna. So, the sky is like an upside down bowl, and it contains the wind. That is how you have to understand this example. And that same way, all created beings rest in me. Just as sky is detached from the wind. Wind is not in the sky but blows freely, blows independently. You see? So the sky is only restricting the area of the movement, not the movement itself. Same way, Krishna also limits the activity of the Baddha Jiva to the circumference of the material world. Within the material sphere, the living entity is free. And Krishna is detached from their activities and the reactions those activities generate. So, this is how Achintya. Actually, the living entity is completely, fully dependent on Krishna, but within the material realm, they have some independence to do some nonsense. This is how Krishna is maintaining the material world, being detached from it. This is the Achintya explained by the Acharyas. And then Krishna says how the material world is maintained and destructed and created again. Krishna says, "O Kaunteya, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. And this whole thing is under me, and under my will, it is manifested again and again." So actually, the Supreme Lord Krishna, if somebody asks how he is creating, there is only one answer: by his will. So, by his own sweet will, we say, no, my own sweet will. Actually, the entire creation, that manifestation is happening by Krishna's sweet will. You see, just imagine unlimited multitude of universes are created by Krishna by his sweet will, and then everything is maintained, created, maintained, destructed, created again, maintained, destructed, all by his will. And even more Achintya it becomes when you know that this same Krishna, when Yashoda Maya is taking a stick to beat him, the same Krishna is so afraid that his eyes will turn red and tears will start flowing and his lips will start quivering. You know, just imagine. This is how it becomes even more Achintya. And Acharyas say that Krishna actually felt afraid. Even though Krishna as the Supreme Lord can never be afraid. It's not possible. Correct? But that is the Achintya beauty, inconceivable beauty of Krishna's Leela. But he actually got afraid. Whenever Yashoda Maya would take a stick to beat, he would become afraid. This is Achintya. So we must understand. And Krishna says that even though I am doing all these things, nothing can bind me. Why? Because I am never attached to any material activity. So nothing binds him. This is the whole idea of how not to get bound is to act without attachment. Attachment means bound up. Detachment means freedom. This is how we must always train our mind. If you are attached, you will get bound up. If you are detached, you will become free. This is like a sutra we must carry in our brain. And then Krishna explains how he is neutral. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetuna anena kaunteya jagadviparivartate. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. This prakriti, this material nature is actually one of my energies, and Maya adhyakshena, adhi aksha means simply by my supervision. Adhi aksha means eye. Eyes, So, simply by Krishna having just one small supervision, this whole thing is functioning. And Krishna says, Hetunanena, I am the reason, and producing such aracharam, charam and acharam, moving, non-moving, everything is created. And under the rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Jagad viparivartade. That means keeps changing. I already told that Jagat actually means something that is constantly changing. And this is changing because of Krishna. So, how is that Krishna glances over the material nature and then everything starts happening. So, does that not mean that the Lord, there is some activity by the Lord? Is there some activity by the Lord or not? But in Pratyaksha, there is no activity. He says he has nothing to do. So, in our Shastra, one example is given. You see a fragrant flower, right? And you can smell the fragrance of the flower, correct? That means your Grana Shakti, that is your ability to smell, is actually in touch with the fragrance of the fragrant flower. But the smelling and the flower are detached from each other. Get the idea? You are smelling, you are in touch with the smell, with the fragrance. But actually what is there? You are smelling, there is a fragrance, but it cannot be seen, it cannot be, and there is a flower. So are you touching the flower? No. So apparently detached from each other, but still there is contact because the fragrance is felt by you. So similarly, the Supreme Lord and the material world are connected, and he has nothing to do with the material world. And then the question comes, if all this is there, then why these people, they are not, they don't consider Krishna properly? Are they not being respectful to Krishna? Krishna says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That is, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. That is, when I come as a human being in a human form, Avajananti mam mudha, the fools, they deride me. Why? Because they don't know ajananto, about what? My param bhavam, my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord. Mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwara of the entire bhutas. Everything living, everything moving, everything non-moving, I am the Maheshwara. They don't understand that. So, they are deriding me like they think I am a normal human being. So, this we see in Mahabharata, Duryodhana thought that Krishna is ordinary. Right? What to speak of Duryodhana? There is this wonderful Krishna's right-hand man in the creation, the first created being called Brahma. He himself could not understand, this history, wonderful history in Bhagavad Purana. We will just speak it very, very briefly. That Krishna as a small boy, after the Aghasura Vada Leela is concluded, the big snake, Krishna tore it and killed it, and then he came out and all the boys, and they were all sitting on the banks of the Yamuna, and Krishna is sitting with a small handful of rice, and he is eating along with all the other small Gopa boys. And then Brahma, from Brahmaloka, he is seeing this and he cannot accept that his master, out of whose navel in a lake there is a, stem, and on top of it there is a flower, and Brahma is on top of that. And he is thinking, my Lord is doing this, a handful of rice, and he is sharing with all the other small boys. I can't understand. So even Brahma finds it difficult to understand when Krishna came in the human form. So what to speak of anybody? So some people, they think that Krishna is some kind of powerful man, a historic figure, all these things. All misunderstandings. And if somebody, because he is bewildered, he is disrespecting Krishna, what happens? Mokhasha mokha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Those who are bewildered, they are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, what happens? Their hopes for liberation, their kamya karmas, their jnana, everything will become defeated. That is, if you disrespect Krishna, clearly understand that we are doomed. Whether it is jnana, whether it is whatever we may have, everything is doomed. And What happens to those people who accept Krishna? Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajantyananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Krishna says. Again, Krishna is using the word Mahatma. In previous chapter also we saw Mahatma, right? So the great personalities, they are under the protection of Daivi Prakriti Ashrita. They have taken shelter under my Daivi Prakriti, my divine nature. And always Bhajanti Ananya Manasa. Again you see Ananya Cheta, last chapter, Ananya Manasa, this chapter. So in their mind they have only me. They know only me and they are always engaged in my devotional service. Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. So they understand that I am Avyayam. I am original, I am inexhaustible, I am limitless. So by understanding all these things, a Mahatma who has no concentration on anything other than Krishna. You see? So simply serving Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. They are not even attracted by even Narayana. Those who are worshipping Krishna, the flute player, not even so much interested in Narayana. There is this Leela in Srimad Bhagavatam when the gopis were searching for Krishna. So Krishna came as Narayana and told them, who are you searching for? They immediately paid their pranams and they said, oh, Supreme Lord, we are looking for our friend Krishna. So he said, I am only that Krishna, I am only that Narayana. They said, no, sorry, you are worshipable Lord Narayana, we want our friend Krishna. So like that, somebody who is attracted to Krishna, not interested in anything else, whether it is liberation, whether it is yoga siddhi, whether it is gyan, whether it is sayujya, nothing. Simply only serving Krishna. And how do they serve? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantaschadradavrata namasyantyascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Again, same words are being used. Satatam, always. Kirtayanto mam, chanting my glories. Yatantascha dradavrata, very, very strong determination. Namasyamscha, they are doing namasya, bowing down. Nityayukta upasate, they are perpetually worshipping me. Upasana, devotion. You see? So, Mahatma is always engaged in Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Mahatma is always Nityayukta. And Mahatma is Dradavrata. He is very, very determined in his service to Krishna. So these are all qualities of Mahatma. And then Krishna also speaks about people who worship him indirectly. And Krishna says others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge, that is Gyan, and worshipping Supreme Lord as one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So the Mahatma is there. Then the Sukritinas are there. And then the different three kinds of Jnanis. You see, these are the various types of people who worship Krishna. And in the three types of Jnanis who are worshipping Krishna, there is one who worships himself as the Supreme Lord. It is called Ahangrahopasana, because I am Brahman, I am part of Supreme, I am also Supreme, so worship myself. Then the other Jnani who will concoct a mental form of the Supreme Lord and worship. And then the third type of Jnani who will worship the Vishwarupa, the universal form. So these are three. And as we know, the one who is thinking himself to be the equal to Lord, that is the lowest level of the Jnani worship. And the second lowest is concocting your own form and worshipping. And then out of the three, the best one is the one who at least is worshipping the Vishwarupa of the Lord. And then Krishna, next he goes on to discuss how people recognize and worship him in the universal form. And then Krishna will speak about Devata Aradhana. This is another important part in this chapter. Krishna speaks about people worshipping Devatas as if they are supreme. You see? Although Krishna says that I am the giver of heat, I withhold, I send forth the rain, I am immortality, I am also death personified, both spirit and matter are in me. These are all ways you can visualize Krishna in the Vishwarupa. And then people who study the Vedas, people who are seeking for Swarga, they also worship Krishna indirectly. And then they will, take birth in heavenly planets, and then they will enjoy there for some time. And after they have enjoyed for some time, what will happen? Kshine punye martya lokam mishanti. They will go. You do some punya karma, you reach Swarga. As much as your punya karma credit is there, you enjoy that, and when it is exhausted, you go back down to Kshine punye martya lokam mishanti. So, this is by Vedic way, you do all punya karma, you get some credit. It's like filling your credit card or your debit card, Let's say your credit card has X amount of credit in it. So, when you exhaust your credit card, what will happen? Again, you swipe it, it will give some funny sound, red light and all those things, and the guy on the other side will say, sir, your card has been rejected. So, same way, with all accumulated credits of punya karma, we can go to Swarga. And until that credit runs out, we can be there and, take part in all the heavenly, pleasurable activities. And after that, we have to come back. So, Krishna says, but when somebody is unalloyedly devoted to me, what happens? Krishna says, I will take care of him completely. In Shloka 22, Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto maham ye jana pariyupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. A very wonderful shloka in the Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto maham. Without any other thought, you worship me. Pari upasate, that is properly worshipping me. How? Nitya abhiyuktanam, always fixed in bhakti. Krishna says, yoga kshemam vahami aham. Krishna says that their yogam and their kshemam are both taken care by me. I will carry what they lack and I will preserve what they have. Krishna makes it very clear. That means both my material requirement and my spiritual development is taken care by Krishna if I am ananyas chintayanto pariyupasate. Very, very important. Because why would Krishna maintain me? Because I become dear to Krishna, and maintaining me is no more a burden for Krishna. You see? There is a wonderful history about a Brahmana called Arjunacharya. And he is a very poor Brahmana. He was writing a tika to the Bhagavad Gita. And when he saw that verse, this particular verse, he thought that it is a mistake to believe that the Lord would personally carry whatever each devotee lacked, So, he removed vahamyaham, He removed the vahami and he wrote karomi. That means I will get it done. Means Krishna will not do directly. Vahami means Krishna is saying I will, vahami, I will bring, I will do. But so Arjunacharya thought, no, vahami, how will Krishna do it? Karomi, I will get it done, And after writing, after cutting that and writing there, changing from vahami to karomi, he had to go for his daily bhiksha. So he went. Because the Brahmana takes bhiksha and then he'll come home and share it. It is cooked and offered, naivedya, and prasad is taken. So he's a very poor Brahmana, he has gone for bhiksha. So after Arjunacharya left, his wife heard somebody knocking on the door. And two beautiful looking young boys, they came. and insisted that please accept this food that we have brought. So she asked, who sent this food? So they said, your husband Arjunacharya, he forced us to bring and give you this. So she was very, totally disbelief that how Arjunacharya will force these boys. They say this Arjunacharya beat us, and they showed a mark on their back. That he beat us and he told us that we should bring this food to you and give it to you. And then they both ran away. And then she was very bewildered. She did not know what is going on. Arjunacharya has gone out to actually collect Bhiksha, and today something like this has happened. So immediately she cooked all what the boys brought, and then she already started taking her prasadam by the time Arjunacharya returned. And he was very shocked. He said, normally a pativrata would never eat before the husband eats. So he asked her, what's happened? So then she will say, what have you done? Such wrong behavior on your part. How can you be so cruel that you could beat two very beautiful looking boys, and force them to give so much of food stuff to us? And then she said, that boy, that dark boy especially, he showed me on his back that there is a mark of a beating on his back. Then immediately Arjunacharya understood. She said, one boy is black, the other boy was very fair. So immediately he knew that it is Krishna and Balaram who came and delivered everything. And what is the beaten mark? It was he had cut Vahami and written Karomi. So Krishna personally came to prove that if I say Vahami, if I say I will carry, I will carry. You see? But when somebody is worshipping Devata, are they also worshipping Krishna? If so, what is the result? Do they get the same result as Krishna Bhaktas? So Krishna clears that also. In 23rd shloka, Krishna says, Epyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avithi purvakam. Very, very important. So Krishna says, those who are devotees of devatas and those they worship them with full faith, they are actually worshipping only me. But it is avidhi purvakam. They are doing it in a wrong way. It is avidhi purvakam to worship Krishna, rather worshipping a devata thinking that he is Krishna. Vidhi purvakam means to follow rules and regulations. Avidhi purvakam means not to follow them. You see? So this avidhi purvakam actually means, how do you water a plant? You water the roots of the plant. But if you are watering the leaves and the flowers and the branches, so this is the difference between vidhi purvakam and avidhi purvakam. So vidhi purvakam means you should do properly. Krishna is the root. Everything else is from that root. So Krishna says, I am the only enjoyer and all master of all the sacrifices. So if they don't understand my true Divya Swabhava, they will fall down. And what happens to them? Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitirvrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship devatas, they will take birth among the devatas. Those who are worshipping pitrus, they will take birth among pitrus. And if somebody is worshipping some bhuta, ghost, so they will become ghosts. And yanti madhyajino apimam, somebody is worshipping me, they will come and live with me. Simple. And how to worship? Krishna says, I told in the beginning of the chapter, how simple it is. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tataham bhaktyuva hridam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with devotion, tadaham bhakti upahritam. With devotion, if you offer me a patram, a leaf, pushpam, a flower, phalam, a fruit, or thoyam, water, I will accept it, Krishna says. So, worshipping Krishna is simple. Simply you have to offer with love, with bhakti, just a leaf, a flower, a fruit, water. And our acharyas say that this is very clear indication that what can be offered to Krishna and what cannot be offered to him. That means you cannot offer any tamasic things to Krishna. All what he has mentioned here are very sattvic things. So this is indication for us. We must understand that to Krishna we cannot offer any of the tamasic. You cannot offer your mamsa and your madhu and all those things cannot be offered to Krishna. You see, so very sattvic things only can be offered to Krishna. These are offered with devotion, with bhakti, and that bhakti is what Krishna is actually taking from us. He is receiving from us. He is accepting from us what? Our bhakti. So the offering, the most important part of the offering is the bhakti with which we offer. The offering can be a simple leaf or a flower or a fruit or even a little water. But the ingredient in that offering, that naivedya, is our bhakti. And Krishna says, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give dana, whatever tapasya you do, everything you do, tat kurushva madarpanam, as an arpanam to me. So anything you do, surrender its fruit to Krishna. So in bhakti, but the activity is also an offering to Krishna, and whatever we get out of bhakti is also offered to Krishna. In this way, by nishkama karma, what happens? One becomes freed from bondage and all the inauspicious and auspicious things that come out of that bondage. And if one is having his mind fixed on Krishna with this principle of tyaga, renunciation, he will become liberated. And then Krishna says, I am actually equal to everyone. You see, samoham sarva bhuteshu namedveshyosti na priyaha. I am not having any anger towards anybody, nor am I priya, nor am I specifically priya to somebody. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. But whoever renders service to me in devotion is a friend, and I am also his friend. That is, if I become a bhakta to Krishna, I become his friend, he becomes my friend. This is the only thing. Krishna says, otherwise I am not having any special, I am partial to this one, I am partial to that one. No. But if I am offering devotion to Krishna and I become his friend, he becomes my friend. And even if something happens in that activity of mind, Krishna says he will take care of me. Abhichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisaha. That is, apichet suduracharo. If such a devotee does some durachar, but he is bhajate mam ananya bhak, that is, if his ananya bhajana is there but does something wrong, something abominable also, Krishna says sadhu eva samantavya. He should still be considered a sadhu. Why? Because he is actually samyak vyavasitaha. He is situated properly. He is understood this is what is to be done and he is doing it. But while doing that, there is something going wrong. Don't immediately put him down. It is not good. Why? Because Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachandim nigacchadi kaunteya pradijanahi name bhakta pranasyati. This is very, very important. Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Immediately he may fall, but he'll get up and he'll become righteous and he'll shashvat chandip. He will attain everlasting peace. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, hey Arjuna, you can declare boldly that my devotee. Kaunteya pradijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. My bhakta no pranashyati. He will never perish. So the most important thing for a devotee is to maintain his devotion to Krishna. Bhakti is the topmost thing. And those who take shelter of Krishna, Mamhi Partha Vyapasritya Yepisyu Papayoneha Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim. That is, whether they be of lower birth, Vaishya Tada Shudra, Krishna says, and whether they are women, Striyo Vaishyaha Shudraha. Even everybody can Yanti Param Gatim. So does not mean whatever Varna one is belonging to, everybody is still assured of Param Gatim if they take shelter of Krishna. And so just imagine if the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, saintly kings, all the more when one is like that, they will have that much better chance to engage in loving service to Krishna. And they can leave this temporary and miserable world by engaging in loving service to Krishna. And then in the concluding shloka of the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyadi tvaevam atmanam matparayanaha. Manmana bhava madbhakto. Engage your mind. Manmana bhava madbhakto. Become my devotee. Madhyaji. Pay obeisances to me. Namaskuru. Worship me by paying obeisances. Yaji namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi yuktva. Being completely absorbed in me. Atmanam matparayanaha. Mame vaishyasi yuktva atmanam. That is when you are completely absorbed in me. Matparayana. You will certainly come to me. So here 4 confidential instructions are given. Manmana. Think of me. Bhavamad Bhakta, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam Namaskuru, offer your namaskara to me. You see? So first, think of Krishna. It is not sufficient to work hard and let our minds wander. Krishna wants us to think of Him. You see? So, this is actually the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The 34th shloka of the 9th chapter. You see, almost the same verse gets repeated in the final chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the 65th verse. The first 3 lines are same, only the 4th line is different. Okay? So, actually, that 18th chapter 65th verse is the penultimate verse of the Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. But this verse, shloka 34 of chapter 9, is the exact middle of the Bhagavad Gita. And it is repeated again in the end of Bhagavad Gita, making it the most confidential and essential shloka. And it contains the essence of the essence. It contains the most confidential thing. What is that? Become a pure devotee of Krishna. You see? Becoming a pure devotee of Krishna is actually the essence of all knowledge, and that is packed in this 34th shloka, which is right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. So as we previously discussed, we always keep the most important thing in the middle and leave a lot of packing around it. Whenever we are packing something, we always pack everything, with the most important thing will be right in the middle. So like that, Krishna keeps the most important thing, Krishna keeps right in the middle, and that is become a pure Shuddha Bhakta of Krishna. So this is the essence of all the essence of Bhagavad Gita, the 34th shloka of the 9th chapter. So this is how the 9th chapter gets concluded. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.